Hello and welcome to Rewind 2001, where we take a look at the old year to see what it will mean for the year 2002. Since September 11th, art has been off most people's agenda. Its frivolity and sometimes shocked nature seem strangely dated. But artists of every description have been trying to find out what role, if any, they can play in a world that has changed so dramatically. What can painters, musicians, and photographers tell us that's new? A pop anthem from the past has taken on new relevance, bringing 200 celebrities together in a spectacular event. Get ready for the day when the world will sing, "We are family!" An artist who's found new challenges following the September catastrophe. And the surprise return of photography as an art form. Why records of disaster and heroism resonate with today's shocked audiences. As the year draws to a close, almost all of us around the world will take a moment to think of what happened to us on September 11th, whether we were here in New York or thousands of miles away watching television or just heard about it later in the day. It wasn't a pleasant time. This is an exhibition of artists who were based in the World Trade Center. Tragically, one of them lost his life in the attacks.
Well, about 8 days after the attacks on the World Trade Center, the artists who were participating in the Worldview's studio program, residency program, got together for the first time to talk about their feelings and what had happened. And among other things, they voted unanimously and said that they wanted to go ahead with an important component of the residency. The exhibition is really being received as something of a vindication of the creative process and even of the role of the artist in society. There's a strong belief, and I think it's evidenced by the work at hand, that art really can be capable of responding and helping other people respond to catastrophes, to emergency situations and social crises, and that we often call upon artists to be there when such things happen.
Some of the works follow on from the pieces they were working on, which were lost, and others are the result of the disaster itself. There have been innumerable creative ideas to help people cope with the tragedy. One man, a musician, was shocked and worried just as the rest of us. He drew a breath and had an idea that has just grown and grown and grown.
Okay, are we ready, Spike? Everybody, here we go. There's an intro, and I'll count everybody in.
I got 3 phone calls from friends of mine in South Africa who had just seen me in a documentary. And in the documentary, they hear me telling the story about meeting Nelson Mandela at the Tribeca Grill in New York. And he says how the song "We Are Family" they used to play in South Africa on, mainstream radio, and that was a very revolutionary thing because in those days they didn't play black people on mainstream radio. And they said, nah, when I see you in this movie and you're telling this story, your country needs something like this now.
Family, y'all.
It's the song that's played at reunions, family get-togethers, bar mitzvahs, and weddings, because not only does it raise the spirits, but the sentiment behind the words make you smile. Everybody around the world knows the song, so how come a 70s disco classic is relevant in 2001?
I lost a good friend in that very first plane, and I've been dealing with her family, and just to see their spirits become more uplifted and understanding that, when one door closes, another door opens, and out of tragedy, something positive can happen.
We are family.
Artists are probably altruistic by nature. They love to give. And so in that regard, it wasn't very difficult. But what was a little tricky is that Diana Ross, who was one of the first people that came on board, was actually in California. Spike Lee was on the West Coast too, so they all had to drive back to New York and get here within a few days.
Move over a little bit.
There's the single, the album, a documentary, a children's album, educational products and programs to inspire individuals about the idea of a global family. And the money raised from all these efforts will go to fund psychological counseling for the relief workers and the victims' families.
It is incalculable. We go to 2 and 3 memorial and funeral services a day, every day. And it It doesn't stop. One day becomes the next day, becomes the next day. And so all you do is you wake up in the morning and you help the living.
It touches our lives. It touches all of our lives, and we feel frightened. We feel scared that this could happen in our lives. And so if singing a song, if being here, I'm very emotional because it touches all of our lives.
Initially, what I was trying to achieve was just some semblance of peace and understanding, and having a collection of people that were probably familiar to people. Just give words of peace and hope and love. I don't mean to sound so cliche-ish and corny, but people don't remember that only a few short months ago, it was a very scary place around here. And now I actually want people to start to engage in dialogue, to start talking about differences and tolerance and in different religions and different cultures and different skin colors and different ideologies. And I think that if we started talking about these things, they become less demonized, especially given that it's now the 21st century. We should be growing up as spiritual beings, as we should be getting a lot better.
And where do these artists hope to take the project in 2002?
Let me tell you something. First of all, We Are Family is not a party record. It's giving you a complete story about who and what we really should be. That's what it's all about, family.
They've started working with the U.S. Congress for a designated day on March 11th, 2002, 6 months to the day of the attacks, to celebrate the idea of family and common humanity.
No matter how much we try to get away from it, this always comes back to racism. And I think that hopefully this could really, America has to look in the mirror and try to eradicate this, because what is happening to Americans, this backlash, is un-American.
We live in a system, in a world of balance, and that's what we're always trying to achieve. So usually if there's something that's dreadfully, bad or something dreadfully horrible, usually something incredibly beautiful and positive can come out of that.
The foundation will continue its work throughout 2002 to celebrate human differences and promote tolerance, and probably get even more people around the world singing the new global anthem. Coming up next, the artist whose life changed on September 11th, but who has found new enthusiasm, and the return of the still photograph as art. Welcome back to Rewind 2001, where we take a look at the old year for the new one that's facing us. Here in New York, art has always been a major activity. Understandably, since September 11th, it sank from our sight, but artists have been wondering what role they can play, what they have to contribute. Let's take a look at one unusual Manhattan artist whose life may have changed dramatically, but whose enthusiasm is undimmed. Nana Olivas lives in the NoHo district of New York, one of Lower Manhattan's hip districts, just a mile or two from what was the World Trade Center. She's one of the artists that make up the fabric of the street. She was born here and has lived here all her life. Nana's art is nothing if not controversial. She's committed and serious, and her work sells, but She paints in blood. Now, before you reach for that remote control, listen. Blood, according to Nana, is the life provider and the taker away too. Lifeblood. It's not a joke.
It sort of was after many years of struggling with regular formal paints, such as oil and acrylics. And I wasn't happy with them. I just couldn't find a successful painting for myself. And I think most artists will agree with me that you have to be pleased with it yourself. And then one day I just, out of the blue, it dawned on me. I thought, well, I'll try blood. And it started out with my own, and I didn't really like that. I was a little too much of a chicken and a sissy, and I also thought that people would really have a strange reaction. It's just a powerful substance that a lot of people find really remarkable.
As you can see, Nana's loft had a view over the rooftops to the World Trade Center, a view that has been changed forever. Nana appeared in another program on CNN this past year, where she showed us around her street and introduced us to her neighbors.
New York can be an impersonal town, but here on Great Jones Street, you can know your neighbors. The firemen, ladder number 9, engine 33.
Those are the longest pole holes used in New York City, because it's one of the tallest buildings that we have here. Not too many other fire departments build 2- or 3-story buildings. They normally just go wider buildings rather than taller buildings. So it's probably some of the longest poles on the job.
Nana, why are you so happy to have the firemen as your neighbor?
Because they're the greatest neighbors in the world. Safe, friendly, wonderful.
Noisy.
Oh, but I sleep like a rock, so it doesn't matter.
In January of 2001, the Great Jones Street firemen were good if noisy neighbors. Then September arrived. Of the 343 firemen who died at the World Trade Center, 9 came from this small station.
It was horrible. They were really great people, and a lot of them that I really knew and liked and respected died. So it was, they were exhausted. I've never seen faces of exhaustion like that ever. And they were just covered head to toe in ash, which is sort of strange. So that was it.
Okay, guys.
Most New Yorkers did, if they were up and around, witnessed it, and it was just so absolutely devastatingly emotional. The impact was so crazy. I just will never, I don't think I'll ever be the same person. I don't think anyone will. A lot of artists always talk about when really horrible things happen, they're so drawn to get that voice and work it out and paint or, you know, whatever art they choose to do. And for me, I just felt really wanted to insulate it all and hide it, almost box it away and stop for a little bit. I think the worst thing about it was just trying to make sense and fit it all together. And I didn't really feel that art, I mean, I've always been so drawn to art. I love it so much, but I just felt, I just can't quite explain why. It just felt frivolous. I needed to have something that was more tangible to my community, because I couldn't really drag out one of my paintings and give it to the firemen, but I could, you know, bake them cookies and make them soup and have them comment about it. You know, that seemed more of an intrinsic, you know, relationship that was important for me. I guess because everybody was in such shock and so horrified that I thought that that was a way of making something and helping. I've started working more simply, doing, I guess, less layers, sort of toned it down a bit, made it, I tried to, I guess the right word would be streamline. Tried to make the image and the voice of it much simpler. I'm now really excited to get into my studio and really do some, really just get it out there and do some work.
Nana Oliva's there, born and bred in Manhattan, one of the many artists trying to find a voice again. Welcome back. Since September 11th, we've been able to see in incredible detail everything that has happened, from the destruction of the World Trade Center towers to the search and rescue efforts, the minutiae of everything that has happened worldwide, live on television. But surprisingly, despite the immediacy of television, one medium has undergone a rebirth: the simple, quiet, black and white photograph, which conveys information and emotion in one single image, has been celebrated like never before. Why?
There was this beautiful, gorgeous late summer day. You know, the sun was shining, it was warm, it was lovely, a day to have a picnic. And to know on a day like this, something like that happened, you know, it was such a surreal constellation.
September 11th now has a certain permanence. It's the date which seems to separate yesterday from today. The world-famous Magnum Photographic Agency, founded among others by Henri Cartier-Bresson over 50 years ago, were by chance gathered in New York for a meeting on the 10th of September. As the events unfolded, it was only natural, therefore, for them to go out and do what they do best.
We were totally unprepared. Normally you go out and look for a situation. But here we were peacefully sleeping in our beds, you know, and right in our town things were happening in an incredible, horrific way. When I left home, I didn't have enough rolls of film, so on the way down I just went to a drugstore to buy some film. And then when you take a picture, of course you have to think about composition, about using the right lens. It comes automatically because you've been doing it all your life. But still, it's kind of weird that in a moment like this, you think about how to make a good picture rather than just snapping away.
People often see photographs as simple illustration or just as entertainment. So have we lost our sense of what is a true image and the impact of a still photograph?
When we decided to make the book, I wondered, would people want something like that as soon as we could put it out? What obviously happens is that if people look at photographs on a wall or in the book, it is something very different from what you see on television every day. Here you can hold it in your hand, you can look again, and in the exhibition here, I mean, I watched people look at one photograph for minutes, you know, totally mesmerized, because it's their own life.
The Magnum book has already sold 100,000 copies and has obviously touched a very raw nerve. This isn't the only exhibition in New York trying to come to terms with recent events, and also not the only exhibition using photography as its medium. The 11th of September Photo Project is a grassroots initiative. People have submitted their photographs and personal thoughts for the public to share at this community gallery at the heart of Soho, within the shadows of the financial district.
People in this particular exhibition are using the medium of photography in a variety of different ways. Some people are using it to record an unbelievable moment. Others are using it to compose snippets of reality to try to communicate something larger about what's going on. Photography is very important in that it corresponds to reality in a way that's very direct, that we as modern people have been accustomed to. A photograph is real, a painting is not real. Although as one goes around this room and sees the level in which the photographs have been manipulated digitally, through photographic oils, through composition and cropping, you really start to understand the flexibility of the medium. It really shows the diversity of what's possible with photography.
Still in Soho, there's another exhibition. Here is New York, also takes a unique slant.
I think there's something revolutionary about what we're doing. Photographers aren't identified. You know, our subtitle is A Democracy of Photographs. It's not about the photographer. It's not about an exhibition. These are not pretty pictures on a wall to be understood and, you know, articulate some sort of, you know, artistic expression. It's direct experience of people. As you walk through the show, it's not a particular picture that is beautiful or wonderful or significant. It's the whole thing. It's the whole effect. To me, this is the first show of the 21st century. This event, I think, will become some sort of watershed point in Western civilization that I think people will look at these pictures forever. As long as people look at pictures, they'll be looking at these pictures.
You can buy a copy of any one of these photographs here for just $25, and all the money raised goes to benefit the Children's World Trade Center Relief Fund.
It's a little bit sad that it took such a horrific event to produce it, but you know, I think culture grows in fits and starts, and often with cataclysmic tragedies. Civilizations have been built and destroyed since the beginning of time, and we've come out of that. So who knows what will come out of this? I mean, we're too close to it now.
That's all from me for Rewind 2001. We'll take another look at the art world, not connected to events here in New York, but still in trouble, next week. We leave you now with a reminder of our first story, the We Are Family event, in black and white, of course.
Here we go. That's right.